Hello everyone, I am Sumit Saxena. Today we are going to see how many questions have come in production planning and control, inventory control and operations research under GATE 2020 set 1 of mechanical engineering and their solutions. So let's see what are the distribution of those questions. So there are total 7 marks of questions have come in GATE 2020 set 1. There is one question of mark 1 and there are 3 questions of 2 marks. So total 7 marks, that is total 7% have come out of production planning and control, inventory control and operations research. So let's see the first question. So the first question is, in the critical path method, the cost time slope of an activity is given by. So here, if you see, we have critical path method, and if you see the options A, B, C, and D, there is something called crash cost, normal cost, and cresting. So this question is coming from PERT CPM chapter. Now, what is this critical path? So it is no, So first of all, let's see what is critical path. So it is the maximum time consuming path from the first event to the last event in the network diagram. So let's say if you have any network diagram, let's say A to B to C to D, and you have some parallel activities as well here. Let's say some activity B1 and let's say B2, and finally you are reaching to D. So the critical path is the time taken along the critical path is termed as the expected project completion time, and the activities along the critical path are termed as the critical activities. So whatever the path is taking the maximum time would be called as the critical path. Now, what is this crash cost? So for know about crash cost, first we should know what is crashing. So crashing is an extension of critical path method that considers a compromise between the time and the cost required to complete an activity. So let's say for any particular activity, if you want to minimize the time, how can you minimize the time for an activity? You can allocate more resources to that particular activity. By this way, you can crash an activity in which the cost will increase, but the time will get reduced. Now, for any activity, there are two types of costs. One is the direct cost. Second one is the indirect cost. So what is the direct cost? So it is a cost directly involved in the completion of an activity. So for example, it includes direct material, direct labor, machine, equipment, etc., etc. So let's see how to solve this question. So we know critical path, crashing, and direct cost. Now, if you want to crash an activity, so let's say we have on x-axis the activity duration, and on y-axis if we have direct cost for that particular activity, and let's say we are somewhere here where we have the normal duration and the normal cost for that particular activity, and let's say if you allocate some more resources for that particular activity, so we will have this something called TC, that will be the crashing time. So the time for that activity will reduce, but your cost for that activity will increase, and we will have the crashing cost. So in actual, if you are going from this point to this point, it's a curve, but for approximation, we can take this as a straight line. So this is the actual, but we have here the approximation of a linear line from this normal point to the crashing point. And this angle we call as the theta. So this is the cos times slope. If you see, this will be the cos times slope. So the cos times slope or tan of theta would be delta C by delta T. Now, what will be the delta C and delta T? So delta C would be the change in the cos. That would be Cc minus Cn divided by Tn minus Tc. So Cc is the crashing cost, Cn is the normal cost, Tn is the normal time, and Tc would be the crashing time. So by this, what would be our answer? So the answer would be D. Crash cost minus normal cost divided by normal time minus crash time. Now come to the second question. For an assembly line, the production rate was 4 pieces per hour and the average processing time was 60 minutes. The work in process inventory was calculated. Now the production rate is kept the same and the average processing time is brought down by 30%. As a result of this change in the processing time, the work in process inventory, this WIP is the work in process. So for solving this question, we know there's something called Little's law. Now what it dictates? So the Little's law dictates that the working process inventory in a stable system is equal to the average flow rate multiplied by the average processing time. So by Little's law, we can say that work in process inventory L equals to lambda, that is the average output from process, or you can say throughput, multiplied by W. So W would be our average processing time. So W would be average processing time and our lambda would be throughput or average output from process. Now read the question again. The production rate was 4 pieces. So in the first case, let's say at L1, the production rate was 4 pieces per hour. So our inventory would be, work in process inventory would be 4 multiplied by the average processing time was 60 minutes. Since we are calculating this in hour only, so 60 by 60, that would be 4. Now, if you see the second case, that is the production rate is kept same. So our L2 would be production rate that is same. So 4 multiplied by average processing time is brought down by 30%. It's not, average processing time is not 30% of the previous time, it is brought down by 30%. So now the average processing time would be 70% of what was the previous. So previously it was 60 minutes converted to hours, so 60 by 60, and it has reduced by 30%. So now only remaining 0.70. So it would come as 2.8. Now what the question is asking? Question is asking the change in the processing time, the work in process inventory would either it would increase or decrease. So as you see, previously it was 4 units, now it has reduced to 2.8 units. Now calculate the percentage change. So the percentage change would be, first of all, it would be a decrease. And how much decrease? From 4 to 2.8. So 4 minus 2.8 divided by 4, which would come as 30%, multiplied by 100 equals to 30%. So decrease by 30%. So what would be our option? Option would be option C, decrease by 30%. Now let's go to question number 3. Two business owners, Sweta and Ashok, run their business in two different states. Each of them, independent of the other, produces two products A and B and sells them at rupees 2000 per kg and 3000 per kg. So 2000 per kg and 3000 per kg respectively, and use linear programming to determine the optimal quantity of A and B to maximize their respective daily revenue. Next, their constraints are as follows. For each business owner, the production process is such that the daily production of A has to be at least as much as B. So we have to produce quantity of A at least as much as quantity of B. The upper limit for production of B is 10 kg per day, and the respective state regulations restrict Sweta's production of A to less than 20 kg per day and Ashok's production of A to less than 15 kg per day. Now the question is asking, the demand of both A and B in both states is very high and everything produced is sold. So please note this point. This is a very important point, that the demand is very high and whatever we are going to produce, everything is going to be sold. The absolute value of difference in daily optimal revenue. Keep in mind, the question is asking the difference of daily optimal revenue for Sweta and Ashok in 1000 rupees. So how we will solve this particular question? It is already given in the question itself that it uses linear programming. So how we will solve this? We'll solve this first for Sweta, then for Ashok. First for Sweta, then for Ashok. Then we will see what is the difference between their optimal revenue. So let's start with Sweta. So this is, we are solving for Sweta. Before even that, let's say, assume that X1 is the daily production of product A and X2 is the daily production of product B. So now, since we are solving this question using linear programming problem, so what do we do in linear programming problem? First of all, we will define our decision variables. So we have decision variables as x1 comma x2. So x1 is the daily production of product A, x2 is the daily production of product B. Now let's define the objective function. So objective function would be, let's say, by calling objective function as z for Sweta. So let's say z for Sweta would be equals to, so we are producing x1 quantity of product A, and the revenue coming out of product A is 2000 rupees. So 2000 into x1 plus the revenue coming from product B is 3000 per kg, as we saw in the question. So 3000 into x2. So this would be our daily revenue for Sweta. We have to optimize this objective function, and since we know it was given in the question that whatever we are going to produce, everything can be sold, so we have to maximize this function to get the maximum revenue out of it. Now, this particular objective function is having certain constraints as well. So this objective function is subjected to certain constraints. So what was the constraint number one? The very first constraint was that the production process is such that the daily production of A has to be at least as much as B. So the daily production of A is x1, daily production of B is x2, and A has to be as much at least as B. So x1 would be greater than equals to x2. Constraint number one. Now, what was our second constraint? Second, it was given that the upper limit of production of B is 10 kg per day. Now, how much we are producing of product B? X2. So X2 must be less than 10 kg per day. So X2 must be less than 10 kg per day. Now comes the third constraint. So it was given in our question that for Sweta, production of A is less than 20 kg per day. So x1 would be less than 20. This would be our constraint number 3. And we know that in linear programming problem, in this type of problem, we have two more constraints which were not given explicitly in the question. Those are non-negativity constraints. So what are non-negative constraints is? See, this is the problem of production. So we know that either Sweta or Ashok will produce at least 0 or more than 0 units of either product A or product B. They cannot produce in negative. So x1 has to be greater than equals to 0, and similarly x2 has to be greater than or equals to 0. So the other two constraints would be x1 greater than equals to 0, constraint number 4, and x2 greater than equals to 0, constraint number 5, and we call them non-negativity constraints. So how are you going to solve this particular problem is, we are going to solve this by plotting this particular constraints in x1 and x2 axes and see how this works out. So let's say this is our x1 axis, this is our x2 axis. Now let's try plotting the constraint. So constraint 1 says that x1 must be greater than equals to x2. So if you see, this is the constraint of type y equals to mx. So this is a straight line of 45-degree, and we were given that x1 is greater than equals to x2. So I am putting here this dot 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 so that we know that right to this line we have our feasible region, or the region which satisfy the constraint number 1, that is x1 is greater than equals to x2. So anywhere here if you click a point, it will say that x1 is greater than equals to x2. Let's say if you are putting here, so let's say this point, so whatever this point is, x1 would be some positive value and x2 would be 0 at this particular point. So we know that on the right side of this particular line we have x1 is greater than equals to x2. This is our constraint number 1. Now constraint number 2, constraint number 2 was x2 is less than equals to 10. And this point would be, since this is 0 comma 0, so this would be 0 comma 10, this point, and this would be our constraint number 2, which is x2 is less than equals to 10. Now comes to the constraint number 3, which was x1 is less than equals to 20. So how will you plot this? So this would be something like this: a straight line parallel to x2 axis. This would be our constraint number 3. So left to this particular line would be our feasible space with respect to constraint number 3. So apart from these three constraints, we have two more constraints. Constraint number 4, which is x1 must be greater than equals to 0, and constraint number 5, x2 must be greater than equals to 0. So constraint number 4 would be x1 is greater than equals to 0. So this would be here, and next we have that x2 must be greater than equals to 0, which would be this. So as we know, for linear programming problem, the solution would come out of the feasible region, and if you consider all the 5 constraints, you will see that this is our feasible region. So our feasible region consists of, let's say this is point A, which is 0 comma 0. Then this is, let's say, point V, which would be, so this is a 45-degree line, and this is a x2. This is the constraint number 2, which was 0 comma 10. Constraint 2 was x2 is less than equals to 10. So this line would be, this point would be 10 comma 10. Now this point would be point C. So this point C is coming out of constraint number 3 and constraint number 2. So the point C would be 20 comma 10. And let's say this is our point D. So point D would be 20, 0. So our feasible region is consists of point A, point B, point C, and point D. And we know from our linear programming problem that the optimal solution would exist at any of the corner point only. So our feasible region is having 4 corner points: point A, point B, point C, and point D. And our optimal solution would be either of these points. So what should we do? Let's calculate our objective function at each of these 4 points and see which will be our optimal point. So we knew that our objective function was, for Sweta, the objective function was 2000 into x1 plus 3000 into x2. So Z for Sweta at point A would be point A is 0, 0. So Z for Sweta at point A would be 0 only. Now Z for Sweta at point B would be, point B is 10, 10. So it would be 20,000 plus 30,000. That would be 50,000. Now Z for Sweta at point C would be, point C is 20, 10. So 20 into 2000 equals to 40,000. 40,000 plus 30,000, that would be 70,000. And Z for Sweta at point D would be, point D is 20, 0. So Z for Sweta would be 20 into 2000 plus 3000 into 0. So 40,000. So what will be our optimal point? Optimal point would be point C, where Z is 70,000. So this would be Z optimal for Sweta. Similarly, we'll try to solve for Ashok and see how it goes. So for Ashok, let's see what was given. So if you see, the revenue was same for Ashok, that is 2000 per kg and 3000 per kg for both product A and product B respectively, but the constraints were little different. So for Ashok, A has to be at least as much as B was correct. Upper limit of production of B is 10 kg per day was correct, but for Ashok, there was third constraint was different, that was production of A is to be less than 15 kg per day. So for Ashok, let's say if Ashok is producing X1 as the daily production of product A and X2 as the daily production of product B. So the objective function for Ashok would be, objective function for Ashok would be, since the revenue was same for Ashok as well, so it would be 2000 into X1 plus 3000 into X2. Now this objective function is subjected to some constraints. So what is the first constraint for Ashok? It's same, that for each business owner, the production process is such that the daily production of A has to be at least as much as B. So production of A is represented by X1 and production of B is represented by X2. So our first constraint would be x1 must be greater than equals to x2. Now, second constraint was daily production of A has to be at least as much as B. That was our first constraint. And second constraint is upper limit for production of B is 10 kg per day. So that would be x2 must be less than equals to 10. Now, what is the third constraint? So third constraint for Ashok is Ashok's production of A to less than 15 kg per day. So x1 would be less than 15 kg per day, and we know that in linear programming problem we have two more constraints. Those are non-negativity constraints. Those are x1 is greater than equals to 0 and x2 is greater than equals to 0. Now we will solve this similarly as for Sweta's. So we will plot these constraints and see what is our optimal solution. So let's say if this is our x1 axis and the vertical axis, let's say the x2 axis. So our first constraint was x1 is greater than equals to x2. So this would be our constraint number 1. Just a minute. So if this is our x1 axis, this is our x2 axis. So constraint 1 would be this constraint, that is x1 is less than greater than equals to x2. This would be our constraint number 1. Now constraint number 2 was x2 is less than equals to 10. So this would be a line parallel to x1 axis. This would be our constraint number 2, and constraint number 3 was x1 is less than equals to 15. So this would be our constraint number 3, and we have two more constraints. Those are non-negative constraints, that x1 is greater than equals to 0 and x2 is greater than equals to 0. So now if you see, by drawing all these 5 constraints, we have this as our feasible reason. And we know in linear programming problem, we get our optimal solution from the corner points of our feasible solution. So corner point, so we have corner point A, corner point B, corner point C, and corner point D. So point A is 0, 0. Point B would be, point B is coming out of constraint number 1 and constraint number 2. So constraint 1 was x1 is greater than equals to x2, and constraint number 2 was x2 is less than equals to 10. So this point would be 0, 10, and point B would be 10, 10. And point C is coming out of constraint number 3 and constraint number 2. So this point is, this point D is first, point D is, since constraint 3 was x1 is less than equals to 15, so point D was 15, 0. So point C would be 15, 10. And we know that our feasible solution or our optimal solution will be out of these 4 points only. So how to figure out that which is our optimal point? Just calculate the value of objective function at all these 4 points and see which is our optimal point. And we knew that Z for Ashok was 2000 into x1 plus 3000 into x2. So Z at point A was, so this is Z, this particular A represent Ashok. So now for Ashok, Z at A would be 0, A 0, 0. So objective function would be 2000 into 0 plus 3000 into 0. That would be 0. Now Z at point B would be, point B is 10, 10. So 10 into 2000 plus 10 into 3000 would be 50,000. And Z at point C would be, C point is 15, 10. So 15 into 2000 plus 3000 into 10. So 30,000 plus 30,000, that is 60,000. Now Z at point D would be, D point is 15, 0. So 15 into 2000 plus 3000 into 0, that would be 30,000. So our Z optimal for Ashok would be 60,000. Now, if you go back to the question and see what the question is asking, question was not asking the optimal value for Ashok. If you see the question was asking the absolute value of difference in daily optimal revenue of Sweta and Ashok. So we have the optimal revenue for Sweta, we have the optimal revenue for Ashok. If we can make a difference, then we'll get our answer. And just make a note that the answer is asked in 1000 rupees. So it's 1000 is already written and it's a numerical type of question. So for Sweta, we knew that Z optimal was 70,000, and for Ashok, if you see here, the Z optimal was 60,000. So the Z difference is Z of Sweta minus Z of Ashok. The optimal value, that would be 70,000 minus 60,000 equals to 10,000, and 1000 is already given in the question's language itself. So our answer would be 10.0. Now the last question of this particular set 1 of GATE 2020, question number 4 of 2 marks. So 2 cases are given here. Let's read the case 1 first. A company buys 100,000 pieces per year of a certain part from vendor X. The changeover time is 2 hours and the price is rupees 10 per piece. The holding cost rate per part is 10% per year. Now case 2. For the same part, another vendor Y offers a design where the changeover time is 6 minutes with a price of rupees 5 per piece and a holding cost rate per part of 1000 per year. The order size is 800 pieces per year from X and 200 pieces per year from Y. Assume the cost of downtime as rupees 2000 per hour. The percentage reduction in the annual cost for case 2 as compared to case 1. So if you see here, there are two cases are given and different annual cost will come with respect to both the cases. The question is finally asking the percentage reduction in the annual cost for case 2 as compared to case 1. So how are we going to solve this? Let's solve first case 1 and then we'll see case 2 and then finally we'll calculate the percentage reduction. So we are going to solve first case 1. So in case 1, what was given? A company buys 1000 pieces per year of a certain part from vendor X. So 1000 pieces per year from vendor X. Now the changeover time is 2 hours. And what else given? The price is rupees 10 per piece. So let's donate the unit price as, if we donate the unit price as C, so C would be rupees 10 per unit, and the holding cost was given as per part as 10% per year. So whatever is written for holding cost, remember that whatever is written for holding cost, the percentage is with respect to the unit price only. So if we donate the holding cost as CH, so it is given as 10%. So this 10% would be 10% of C. Always it would be the percentage of unit price. So this would be 10% of 10 per year. So it would be 10% of 10 is 1. So it would be rupees 1 per unit per year. Now what else is given? We know that cost of downtime is, so cost of downtime is rupees 200 per hour. Now in case 1, we are ordering 1000 pieces per year from X. Now let's calculate the total annual cost for case 1. So total annual cost. Now what will be the parts of total annual cost? So total annual cost would include, first of all, the material cost, that is the cost per piece, plus the downtime cost, and plus the holding cost. Now let's calculate what is the material cost. So we are ordering 1000 pieces per year from vendor X, and one piece is costing rupees 10 per unit. So this would be 1000 multiplied by 10. Now the downtime cost. So downtime cost is coming from the changeover time. So changeover time is 2 hours, and for that particular changeover time, the cost of downtime is 200 per hour. So it would be 2 into 200. 2 into 200 only, plus the holding cost. Now we know what is our annual holding cost formula. So our annual holding cost is equals to Q by 2 into CH. Now what is Q? Q is the annual ordering quantity, that is 1000 per pieces, and CH is already given, that is rupees 1 per unit per year. So that would be annual holding cost would be 1000 divided by 2 into the holding cost, that is 1. So if you will add all these, 1000 into 10 plus 2 into 200 plus 1000 by 2 into 1, the total would come as equals to, so total annual cost for case 1 would be equals to rupees 10,900. Now we will solve for case 2. Now if you read the question, what is given for case 2? So case 2 is given that for the same part, another vendor Y offers a design where the changeover time is less, per piece price is also less, but the holding cost is increased from 10% to 100% per year. But we are not ordering everything from vendor Y. If you see here, we are ordering 800 pieces per year from vendor X and 200 pieces per year from vendor Y. So we are not ordering everything from either from vendor X or from vendor Y. We are ordering 800 pieces from vendor X and 200 pieces from vendor Y. So what will be our cost structure in this particular case? So in this particular case, we will have two components of the total annual cost. One would be with respect to the vendor X, from which we are ordering 800 pieces, and the other would be with respect to vendor Y, from which we are ordering 200 pieces. So our case 2 would be, if you see the total annual cost, it would be cost for vendor X plus cost for vendor Y. So now the cost for vendor X plus cost for vendor Y. So let's say first for cost for vendor X. So cost for vendor X would be material cost plus downtime cost plus holding cost. So for vendor X, material cost plus downtime cost plus holding cost for vendor X. Similarly, for vendor Y, that is material cost plus downtime cost plus holding cost. Now this would be, so from vendor X, we are ordering only 800 pieces, and per piece for vendor X cost of rupees 10. So this would be 800 into 10 plus, now the downtime. Downtime is 2 hours for vendor X, and per hour cost of downtime is 200. So this would be 2 into 200 plus holding cost. Now we know the holding cost is Q by 2 into CH, and Q in this case would be 800 because we are ordering only 800 units from vendor X. So 800 by 2 into CH, and CH, that is holding cost for vendor X, that was 1. So now for vendor Y. Now before solving for vendor Y, just see what are the costs given for vendor Y. So if you see here, for vendor Y, the changeover time was 6 minutes. So changeover time was 6 minutes. That would be equals to 0.1 hours. So 6 by 60, that is 0.1 hour. And per piece price was rupees 5 only. So C would be equals to rupees 5 per unit, and the holding cost was 100% per year. So holding cost was 100% of rupees 5. 100% of 5. So that would be equals to rupees 5 per unit per year. And apart from that, the downtime cost was same as 200 per hour. So if you see here for vendor Y, the material cost is, since we are ordering only 200 pieces from vendor Y, so it would be 200 into 5 plus the downtime cost. Downtime cost is changeover time multiplied by the downtime cost. So changeover time is 0.1 multiplied by downtime cost, that is 200 plus the holding cost. So we are ordering only 200 pieces and holding cost is Q by 2 into CS. So plus 200 by 2 into CS. So total annual cost for case 2 would be equals to rupees 10,320, and if you'll calculate the percentage reduction, it would come as 10,900 minus 10,320, and in the question it was asked that calculate the percentage reduction in the annual cost for case 2 as compared to case 1. So as compared to case 1, and the cost for case 1 was 10,900 multiplied by 100, as we are asking in the percentage, so it would come as 5.32%. So since it's a numerical answer, please write in 2 decimal point as it was asked in the question 5.32.